my furtherance of twiddling and trying to make the game look better, I'm experimenting with 8 separate presets. You can't see it very easily, but right now it says A in the bottom right corner instead of like 1, light, whatever. B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Now, nothing's changing because I have it off, but if I turn it on, this is what it looks like. This is the brightest setting. Go down 1, go down another. So this is D, E, F, G, H. So this is without ReShade, pukey gray. This is with ReShade at its most vivid, contrasty setting, which works really well in daylight like this, but it does crush the blacks if you're indoors somewhere, so you wouldn't want to use this one when you're inside. If you want to see what numbers I'm using currently, the way they stand now, this is my A preset. This is the brightest one. I'm only using 2 things, levels and lift gamma. They have almost no impact on performance, at least none that I can tell. At least on my card, it's like less than like a tenth of a frame per second, maybe less than a quarter of a frame per second. So look at these numbers. Only the top 2 numbers, the 6 and the 200, right here are changing. I'm pegging the RGB gamma to 107 all the way down. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. This is without, this is with. This to me, so worth it. Now, of course, when I go inside, and if depending on where you're looking, I might like lighten it up a little bit. I just hit the page up button just a little bit, and that brightens it just slightly. And since I've noticed that when I have it in this mode, I don't get the little thing in the corner every time I click this button. But if I click on performance mode down here, I get that annoying blink where it says loading this one, loading this one, loading this one. It's like, no, I think I'll just leave that off. I'll leave it in non-performance mode. Doesn't seem like it's really doing much for me to leave it in that mode. So here we are. All we can tell is that it gets brighter or darker, and then of course it wraps around when it reaches A or H. It just jumps around to the opposite end as it wraps around to the next, to the far end. Let's see what it looks like inside here. This is inside Frostcrag Spire. This is the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Now, obviously, H does not work well at all. And in fact, most of these don't work well at all in here, just because the environment's already somewhat dark, so we can lighten that back up and decide, okay, I like this on C, for instance. Like, I always want my Frostcrag Spire to be on C. And of course, you can adjust this, maybe go up to B, right? So here's without it. Here's with ReShade. Nice, vivid, love it. So let's go to the living area here. And again, Frostcrag Spire is a DLC that came after Oblivion came out originally, and it's a way to shortcut your way to being able to enchant and make spells. And for me personally, I don't like getting this right away. I like at least earning my way to the Arcane University, and then I'm willing to come here and obtain this, because it just feels weird. It feels like a cheat to come here any sooner. I can even go to A I'm on A, okay. So this is A, and if I want to turn this off, you see it actually looks pukey. Looks very nice with it on. So if nothing else, if all you did was have ReShade and just go to this top setting so that it's a little bit more vivid, a little bit brighter in some places, less weird, and look at the colors pop. Like, the gray is like masking all of this color. Boom, now it pops. It's so lovely. And now we're going to go to the mountains, the top portal here. And I can, of course, hit page down a few times to bring the brightness back down if it's too bright up here. Or if I just leave it here if I want to. It's still better than the default. Look how dim that is, right? But if I'm like, I like a little bit more vibrancy and more contrast, more adventure, more whatever when I'm outside. Here's before, here's after. Oh, it looks so much better. This to me is like the daylight setting. I might even back it off to like F. Here, let me go in and change the settings so you can see it a little bit better. Let's go down here and set the size to 1.2 so you can see the numbers better. Now I'll just go 1. And then I'll set the alpha here to 255 so it's very vivid. Now you can see the F pretty clearly down there in the corner. So all the way up to A. This is really good in dimly lit interiors. A is really good for that. But outside, you can, if you want to, just dial it down to H. And there's Bruma over there. Love it. And I'm also using the fog reducer. So if I turn off that add-on using Alt-P, you can see what that does. It just pushes the fog away when I put it on, which I like. I like having the fog sort of moved farther away. So this is awesome. I love this preset. And again, it's all I'm doing is I'm changing the black point and the white point, which is something they should have done in the engine, but they're not doing for some reason. I think they were from what I've read, there are hints that they were experimenting with HDR mode for people that have HDR monitors, but it was causing artifacts. So they completely disabled the HDR system. I could maybe test this fake HDR thing if it doesn't like mess with the, with the game. Like I could turn these off, and maybe turn on HDR and see if that does everything I want in one shot without having to use these. But I'm not going to test that in this video. But yeah, here's without. Notice how muted and awful this looks. It's just bleh. This is the default. This is what the game ships with. This is what it can look like if you want it to look like this, with just those 2 ReShade settings. And if I turn off the lift gamma and just do levels, it looks like this, which is also still really good. But I like having those midtones just lifted just a bit, especially when I'm in the brighter ones. Like if I'm indoors and I lift the gamma just a little bit, to me that helps with the clarity in the midtones. So let me go back in and I'll show you. So here we are indoors with my A preset, as you can see. And if I turn off the gamma lift, it's just a little bit dingy. See that? Maybe it doesn't need to be as much outdoors, like in the sun, and I might like adjust that downward as I go from A through H. But it really does help in here, because here's the default, and without the lift gamma, it does look good, but it looks sort of darker. I don't want it to be quite this dark. I do want to lift the gamma in this indoor, or like this indoor A, more bright preset. I like this a little bit more, because if I don't like it to be brighter, I can always just go down a little bit. And you can see it's really, really drastic at first. And because of that, I might sort of grade these numbers, like the black point, instead of going in steps of 4 every time, I might only go in steps of 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7, right? All the way up, so that it's more subtle changes at the brighter end, so that, because our eyes are more sensitive to these changes than they are down here. So I might do that. Anyway, just an update on my ReShade settings and experimentation.